I'm sure by now that there is at least one person out there asking this question. Why is the Linden Branch called the Linden Branch? Well, friends, that's an easy question with an easy answer. It's because the line ends in the city of Linden. Linden is a small town located just a few miles west of Sumas. In this city, there are two industries that are serviced by the BNSF. The first industry is called Martin's Feed. This is a transload/logistics site where various forms of livestock feed are delivered via hoppers. Also on occasion, a boxcar of packaged cottonseed is also delivered. The second industry is Versicold, where berries are frozen and shipped out on reefers. Dairygold also has a butter factory nearby, but they don't count here because they no longer use rail service. Everything is shipped out on trucks. Train 4191, the Sumas local switcher spots Linden once or twice a week. This usually depends on the supply and demand and the orders needed. In early January and early August, the trains also make their way out there more often. This is because this is the peaks in which livestock feed is needed. However, in regular times, the operation does take place once or twice a week, with the operation usually taking place on either Tuesday or Thursday, the latter being more common. Today, however, is Thursday. My goal is to chase the train from Sumas all the way up to Grover Street, the second crossing in Linden. On the way there, I noticed something interesting. The warning sign for the curves ahead is not flashing. This is quite odd. Everyone else had power. I don't know what was going on. Once I enter Sumas, I'm treated to excellent news. The switcher has just finished up working EPL feed. All deliveries to Martin's Feed in Linden come from this plant, and today 8 hoppers are being brought out. No signs of any boxcars, so no cottonseed is required. Also, there are no reefers, so nothing will be delivered to Versicold. Also noticeably absent is the well cars that go to Desticon. This is another industry that is switched out before leaving for Linden. I decided to wait for the train at Barbo Road, but there was no sight of him for a few minutes. After circling back around the industrial park, there he was, crossing Halverstick Road. From here, the chase was on. Chasing trains to Linden is fairly easy, since how the roads follow the tracks well, and because the train's speed limit is restricted to 10 miles per hour, on rickety old track dating back to the days of the Milwaukee Road. The first stop on my chase is the small village of Clearbrook. This is nothing more than farmland, but it still shows up on the maps as an actual town. I chose here mainly because I wanted to get a photo of the train crossing the trestle just south of the Clearbrook Road crossing. Take a look at how close the tracks come to that man's barn. I wonder if this ever annoys him. After he passed, I got my picture. You can find pictures from this chase and other rail fanning excursions on my DeviantArt page. You should see the link below on the screen and in the description. From here, the next stop was a must, the State Route 546 crossing. Also known as Badger Road, State Route 546 takes drivers from Sumas to just outside Linden. This is the only crossing on the line to have cantilever signals, and one of the only crossings I went past multiple times during my childhood. The cantilevers here are produced by Safetran, now known as Siemens, and I assume that these are from the late 80s to early 90s and installed by Burlington Northern. They sure love their Safetran. There is one obstacle in the way, however, the crossing on Van Buren Road. I must have spent too much time in Clearbrook because the gates were already going down before I was about to cross. Oh well, extra film's alright in my opinion. Van Buren held us up enough, however, because just as I turned onto the road, the signals began flashing. Following this, I went out and got another photo. The scenery here is amazing in the fall. The next stop was at the Lindsay Road crossing in Everson. This crossing has an older Burlington Northern era crossbuck still guarding here. It's pretty interesting to see, considering that nearly every other crossbuck in the area was replaced with double-sided signs a couple of years ago. The Linden branch, as I mentioned, was once a part of the Milwaukee Road main line that went from Bellingham's waterfront all the way up to the city limits of Glacier, Washington. The track to the right you see here was the main line. In 1980, the Milwaukee Road went bankrupt and Burlington Northern took over the line. Most of the track was abandoned, including all but one leg of the Y. Not long after, the unused track was pulled out. The Linden branch does not have any sidings to turn around on, so the switchers bring both engines, with one on each side. The train is pulled in this way, and when they leave for Sumas, both engines lead. In the past, the remaining leg of the Y was used for an operation called the Dutchman's Drop. One engine would pull the consist from Sumas up until they reached the Y. The train would stop and they would let out a switchman. The train would pick up speed and disconnect from its consist. The switch would be thrown and the engine would quickly enter the leg of the Y. The switch would then be thrown again and the consist would roll by the Y leg. The switch is thrown again as the train re-enters the branch line. They would throw the switch one last time and reconnect to the consist and back the rest of the way into Linden. This operation was quite dangerous and only rarely performed. They usually switched up at the siding in Linden. Well, it's not really a siding, it's just a spur going to Martin's feet. But it does look like a siding, as you can see here. This last happened in the earlier part of the decade. Since then, nothing has occupied these tracks except for rust and vegetation. Following this, I wanted to film at the Trapline Road crossing, but it would have been too late to get there considering how close it is to the former Y. I also pondered on Northwood Road but declined there as well because I would have never made it to Grover Street, the one place I had planned on filming. With this, Grover was the only logical place to film. This is a main road that begins as Vinup Road on State Route 546. After turning the corner past the Linden High School, it becomes Grover, and continues until entering nearby the fairgrounds in Linden. As I arrived, a cat walked down the tracks. Thank goodness it wasn't a black cat. I would have been in trouble if that happened. A few moments later, you can see he's crossing Northwood Road. This means he had entered the city limits of Linden. Today I'm rail fanning with a neighbor in one of the houses nearby. He actually isn't a rail fan. He just wanted to see the train pass by his house. There is a steep grade coming up from Northwood to Grover, but the Jeep 38 engines tolerated it quite well. Soon enough he was signaling for Grover Street. Look at how close he comes to you, even when you're at a safe distance. Sheesh! With this, the chase was over and it was time to go home. Until next time, my friends, thanks for watching, God bless, and have a happy Thanksgiving.